in a couple of minutes, dare I say seconds, we're going to be joined by a tremendous actor named Paul Walter Hauser. 38 years young. He has, an unbelievable filmography. He's been in the Richard Jewell film, he played Richard Jewell, directed by Clint Eastwood, Inside Out 2. He was just in I, Tonya, Black Klansman, The Instigators, Blackbird, won an Emmy for that. Has won a Golden Globe, was in Cobra Kai, was in the MMA TV show Kingdom as well. He's been in a ton of things, and in fact, he's coming out with a whole bunch of great projects. He's in the new Naked Gun film. He's in the new Avengers movie. Or, excuse me, it's the Fantastic Four. Did I say Avengers last time? Just sort of, yeah, it's Fantastic Four. I'm sort of exposing myself right now. New film on Bruce Springsteen, which is coming out as well. He is just an unbelievable actor, a very talented actor. A new movie on Chris Farley, who's one of my all-time favorite comedians. I absolutely adore Chris Farley. Adore him. Adore Chris Farley. So I didn't even know that was in production. But in addition to all of that, he is a huge pro wrestling fan. He was on SmackDown in 2019. He's appeared on AEW, took a gnarly guitar shot from Jeff Jarrett way back in the day. And as of late, he has been appearing a bunch on Major League Wrestling. That's MLW. In fact, just a few months ago, he was named the executive producer of Major League Wrestling. And he's done some great things for them. When he won his Emmy, he actually referenced Matt Cardona, who he was competing against in an upcoming match. His Emmy speech was a rap song. Like he put together like a rhyme/rap song. We don't happen to have that, or do we? Maybe we do. No, we don't have it. It was great. Not only did he mention Matt Cardona, he also mentioned Get the Tables, which is an inside joke that he has with his agent. So this is a guy who, just like Mark, in his own way, he carries the flag. He's a huge fan, but while being a huge fan and these days an active wrestler and also an executive producer for a wrestling organization, he's also winning awards and killing it in the acting game, the film and TV game. And so it's a great honor to say hello to the one and only Paul Walter Hauser, who is kind enough to join us right here and now in studio. There he is, the man himself.
How you doing?
How are you, sir? It's nice to meet you.
Dude, it's so
Thank
good
you
to meet
so much
you.
for being here. And are you hawking Mark's book as well?
Thanks for making it happen. Yeah, I ran into Mark on his way out, and he
That's nice of
gave me
you.
this book, which is very much the kind of book I would read.
And you have a WCW you got a WCW fanny pack.
Repping the
Where did you get this?
90s WCW. I think I got it off Chalkline or something. I think they gifted me that.
That is unbelievable. Yeah. It's great to see you in person here. You look fantastic, by the way.
Thanks, man.
The hair looks great.
Thanks. Yeah, this is a very, very particular look I have right now. I'm doing a movie called The Very Best People. We're shooting mostly in Staten Island. And I play this Italian cop who lives in Staten Island, and it's kind of a rough character. And so I dyed my hair black, and I've been in and out of a tanning.
Oh yes, yeah.
Like spray tan
got a
thing.
nice little glow to you.
I look like I got dragged through the dirt. I look ridiculous. Yeah.
You also kind of look like a wrestler.
Oh
who
yeah,
just goes to the spray tan.
The fanny pack and the traveling water suitcase. Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's the vibe. I love it.
Congratulations on all your success. It's an amazing career that you've built for yourself at such a young age with some amazing projects coming up as well. By the way, I didn't even know there was a Chris Farley movie coming out. I adore Chris Farley.
Yeah, he's hard not to love, He's like pizza or sleep. He's just this wonderful, essential, universally loved thing. And I had thought about playing him, and then Josh Gad came to me in my reps, and he was like, "Hey, I want this to be my first movie I direct. Would you want to climb on board?" And I knew that Josh had the same vision and passion I had for the guy. So,
has that started yet? Production filming?
Hasn't really started yet. There's a script. There's a really good script written by Neustadter and Weber, the team behind 500 Days of Summer and The Disaster Artist with James and Dave Franco.
Okay.
They wrote it and did a tremendous job. And we got Lorne Michaels and his people producing. We have some of the key elements. We just kind of need Warner Brothers to give us the green light, give us the thumbs up.
What a life this is. You're living your dream. You're winning awards. You're playing incredible roles, and you're also getting to live out every kid's fantasy of being a pro wrestler at the same time and working for a pro wrestling organization as an executive producer, Major League Wrestling. Like, do you sometimes take a step back and be like, how did this all happen to me? How is this all coming together? You're a father of two. You have a loving wife who you seem to be, in love with and
Amy, she's the best.
By your side. What a life this is. I know all that glitters is not gold. Everyone goes through their things, but you've got a lot of great things.
I'm glad you brought up the idea of gratitude, which, my buddy Chris Van Vliet is so big on gratitude too. And he always, ends his interviews on that topic. And I had a moment today where I woke up and, I woke up to all these texts about the Bruce Springsteen movie trailer, which was this movie about Bruce Springsteen. And I'm just a smaller character. I'm not like a big part of it, but it's a big movie, and I think it's going to be a good one. And I was trying to pray this morning, and I couldn't really get it out. Like I was having trouble praying. And then as I'm headed to the gym, I just dropped to my knees, and I was like, God, thanks for letting me be in cool movies. The only thing I could get out of me was just like, thanks, man. Like, thank you for awesome jobs and kind people and a loving, cool wife and cool kids. And the fact that I get to wrestle and talk to people like you who love the same things I love. It's just a very spoiled existence, for sure.
What do you enjoy more, acting or wrestling?
Doing. I think can I still drink that?
Yeah, you can put it on the other side right there. There's like a little apple box. We just didn't want it in the shot, probably.
Oh, gangster. Okay. I think I like wrestling more than acting, which is hard to say.
I could see that you're struggling a little bit. Why is that?
I think when I'm acting, I feel pretty confident usually. I've done some homework and but wrestling still feels like that thing of like you're testing yourself. It's about memorization. It's about the choreography. It's about being safe with someone. It's about being safe with yourself. It's about recognizing the audience like theater or stand-up while you're doing it. It's a lot of elements at once, And I think I've done so much acting that right now it's a real thrill to get to wrestle and know that I'm trying to hit spots and I'm trying to prove I can actually do this with some level of acumen,
What's fun about it is over the last 20 years or so, we've seen wrestlers become actors. You don't often see the actors become wrestlers. We obviously know about, the few cameos here and there, most of them not viewed in, an incredible light. David Arquette, the athletes who come over will sometimes get love. Or the musicians.
Like Hugh Jackman gets to punch, Dolph Ziggler in the face or whatever.
But it's not like a thing like you're doing now, which is amazing.
Mine is about immersion and it's about being genuine. By the way, I think there was immersion and genuine nature in what David Arquette did. I think if David Arquette had done some different films and he had done more movies like Scream or Beautiful Girls and less movies like, See Spot Run and stuff, had he made different career choices, I don't know that he would have gotten all that flack. But because he did some silly movies, I think it was harder for people to want to get on board with it. But my whole thing is my dream was can I be Paul Giamatti and Scott Norton? Can I be Philip Seymour Hoffman and, Bam Bam Bigelow? And I don't know what the answer to that is. All I know is I'm trying and I'm having fun.
You're on your way. Well, I would say, correct me if you feel otherwise, not since Andy Kaufman have we seen an actor pull it off this well. Both.
Probably for somebody else to give it that approval stamp. But I know that I've put a lot of work in and I've done a blade job and bled all over the 2300 arena. I have, the reason I'm not wrestling right now has less to do with working an acting job and more to do with the fact that I had a CT scan and found out I was injured and I had to stop because I just went a little too hard in the paint.
Oh, what was wrong?
Well, I had two experiences. One was I'm an executive producer at MLW and part of the roster there where I sometimes tag team with Paul London, who's one of my trainers, my lead trainer I've had. And I took part in a sort of like a battle royale type thing called battle riot, and it's 40 men, every minute and a half or so. And I was in the match, and even though I had been eliminated, I'm still fighting with, this faction on the outside that we had been in a story with for a long time. And I said, I want to have, wrestling is about moments, right? We talk about this a lot. Bret Hart, a lot of really smart guys and gals have said this in the business. And, a lot of folks are not going to remember my matches, I don't think, but they will remember moments. And I wanted a moment, so I said, I'm gonna set. I told Court Bauer and the brass at MLW, I'm gonna set up a ladder. I'm gonna do an elbow drop off through the table, and they were kind of like, okay, like not super thrilled about it, but we're gonna let him do his thing. And it came off quite nicely. I was really happy with it, and it was a great moment. We got the holy shit chant. We got the whatever.
That's the best.
It's the best. Laying there, it doesn't matter how much pain you're in. Hearing like 800 people yelling "holy shit" together is really nice.
Here it is.
Yeah,
I think this was shot. I think this was shot by O'Shea Jackson Jr.
It was. Yeah, O'Shea was in the crowd.
Look at that, the slow mo.
He got the slow mo.
And so, did you hurt yourself?
That right there. I mean, I landed really well. I was happy with where I landed with the elbow, but I got a hematoma in my right butt cheek.
Oh gosh!
So I had something legitimately the size of like a stress ball, like that big, sticking out of my ass, and it was very awkward. It was like hard to sit and stuff, and like literally my wife was like, "Dude, like your whole thing is bruised." I'll send a photo if you want to post it. It's really funny, but it's of like just part of my hip, and it's like 5 different colors in this bruise. So I had a hematoma from that, and then a week later I fought in Vegas and won the Proteus Championship with Progress Wrestling out of the UK. And in that match, Simon Miller broke up a pin after I got pile drived by Adam Priest, this tremendous wrestler who lives in the South. And, that's me winning the title
right?
with the finish. It's a straight jacket flatliner. I call it the house arrest, HAUS arrest.
It's fantastic.
And when Simon Miller leapt onto Adam and my body like a dog pile, I heard a crunch.
Oh.
And I was like, and it's happened before. Bobby Fish covered me one time, and I heard a crack and was like, oh no, oh God, this sucks. So I got a CT scan, found out I had 4 acute rib fractures.
Oh, geez.
And I had bursitis in my right shoulder from catching a guy doing a moonsault. So it was just like, I went all out, and I was proud of the things I did, and I took and gave and with great commitment. But I got screwed up. My body was pretty effed up. So I'm just taking time off to heal, and my wife's gonna have our new child, and
Congrats.
then I am set to make my return early August with a company called Southern Honor Wrestling.
Okay, so you're not done.
No, God, no, not even close.
Okay.
I'm gonna be doing this till I'm like 52, 55 or something.
Anyone on your team say like, yo, man, like you proved your
Oh,
point?
of course. Yeah. They're like, dude, chill out. Please.
Yeah.
My boy, Brian Walsh, who's my ride or die on my team.
Get the tables.
My manager, get the tables. He's a wrestling fan. He got Roman Reigns' first role in that Hobbs and Shaw movie.
Wow.
I'm sure a lot of people will try to lie and take credit for that, but Brian Walsh was the one who called and emailed Mary Verneu's casting office and said, The Rock has like a distant relative who'd be perfect for this role, right? He was the one that got Roman that part.
And this is your agent?
This is my manager.
Manager.
Yeah. He was my manager's assistant. Then he became an agent, became my first agent. And then he went back to the management company that I had left. And I went back to that management company to follow him. And then I went with CAA. A bunch of my people at CAA kept leaving. And I was like, all right, this doesn't feel good. I just signed with WME.
Okay.
Because I had worked with Wahlberg and Matt Damon on different movies. And they're like, dude, our WME guys dig you. You should talk to them.
And so your inside joke with him, I think, is like when you guys get a big gig or something, you say, get the tables, right?
Yeah, no, that's like our thing of like
Dudleys.
Like it's happening, get the tables.
Yes.
We're doing it,
This is how hardcore you are.
It's a hype thing. Yeah. And so I fit it into my acceptance speeches or whatever, whenever
yes,
that
when you won your Emmy, you mentioned that.
And Globe,
and you mentioned Cardona.
Yeah, Cardona. I was just trying to sell seats. I was doing a wrestling revolver.
You're trying to fill the house. as they say.
I mean, that's the idea, is like, how do you try to be advantageous and use your spotlight to help the business, especially when you're directly involved. And so I threw Cardona in there, where I'm talking about Jesus having my soul, and I'm like, Jesus is the sole owner. I own the body. It's about to beat Matt Cardona. And people were hitting up Cardona being like, yo, Hauser just said your name on the Emmys.
Yeah.
What's going on? But it is me trying to sell seats. I just, at the end of the day, whether it's Wrestling Revolver or MLW, where I've kind of planted my flag, I want to try to help the business and get eyes on the product.
So you grew up like a lot of us as a fan as a kid. Clash of Champions was the first time you kind of fell in love,
That's
right?
Yeah, Clash of Champions was a big deal, because for those that don't know, that was like a free pay-per-view. They would throw like a pay-per-view style card for free on TBS, and I saw that, and I saw the juxtaposition of El Gigante, who's like 7 feet tall Peruvian guy or whatever, up against like Arn Anderson, who kind of just looks like your friend's dad.
Yeah.
Your friend's angry dad, maybe.
Bald spot and all.
Yeah, and it was like, I was fascinated by these two fighting. It wasn't like, it didn't make sense to me. I was like, this normal guy's the villain, but this scary looking guy's the face. The heel and the baby face. So that kind of got me locked in. Arn Anderson is still like in my top 5 favorite wrestlers of all time.
Wow.
I think he's incredible and criminally undersung. He was great on the mic. When Ric Flair brought levity and insanity, Arn Anderson could ground a promo and make you believe absolutely everything, much in the way that Bret Hart did. And the Spinebuster and DDT were just patented. He did it slightly different in a way that you said, that's the Arn Anderson one.
Mm-hmm.
So I got invested in WCW early on. The roster at the time in the early 90s was outlandish. I mean, it was a revolving door. Some folks didn't stay very long, but you got to look at it like early 90s WCW. It was the Steiner brothers, and it was Sting and Rick Rude and Jake the Snake Roberts and Vader and Ric Flair and Arn Anderson and Davey Boy Smith and Sid, and just like an outlandish amount of people that had great careers.
So you were more of a WCW guy than a WWF.
Yeah, all my friends were like hardcore WWF. Like I was
You were WCW because you grew up in Michigan, right?
I grew up in Michigan, but my uncle who got me into wrestling, my mom's brother, Robert Ziff, he like got me hooked on WCW.
Okay.
Because he's from the South. Of course, he was living in Florida at the time, which was WCW territory. But all my friends were like hardcore, like all about Ultimate Warrior and the Bushwhackers and Hogan. And I would play with the toys and stuff, but I like didn't know those characters.
During the Monday Night Wars, were you a WCW guy? Were you watching
Monday Night Wars? I was a WCW guy.
Wow.
But I started to drop off late 98, early 99. Like I loved Sting. He's my number one of all time.
All time?
All time.
Ever met him?
Yeah, I was at his last match.
Wow.
I texted him on Father's Day. Him and my buddy Gilbert, who represents him for booking.
Is that surreal that you can text
Yeah, it's
Steve
weird,
Borden?
man. It's weird just being like, what up?
Yeah.
And I said something funny like, those kids are lucky that they can learn how to be good men and choreograph violence or something like that. But Sting was my guy, and then the NWO thing was a very big deal. I remember listening to Bash at the Beach 96 over like my TV that was all fuzzy because I couldn't afford the pay-per-view.
Oh, wow.
So I was listening to it the way like a kid in the 1950s would listen to a ball game on the radio.
Or boxing.
Yeah. And I was crying. I was crying my eyes out when Hogan turned heel. I was like, what does this mean for WCW? So I loved those first couple years of the Monday Night Wars. But by 98, 99, the only good thing the only thing I really liked was like, I was a fan of the Triad, which was DDP, Bam Bam Bigelow, and Canyon. And Sting, by that point, they had him fighting like Vampiro, and I was like, I'm not into this. The NWO had fizzled out. Nash was doing the finger poke of doom on Hogan. It was like, this sucks. So that 99 is when I was like, Connecticut just got Jericho. Connecticut, like there was that NBA-style swing of all these great players leaving the bench down south to come be starting, point guards in Connecticut. And suddenly we got Eddie Guerrero, Jericho, Saturn, Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit, and The Big Show. That all happened within about a year and a half's time.
And so now you're all in. Now, there was a period though where you like got out of wrestling, right?
Yeah, I didn't really watch it much from, I would say, 2005 to about.
I was the same way, by the way. Once they got into like the brand split and all that, it just something felt off. Post WCW purchase.
Yeah, I wasn't really into the way they utilized WCW guys, and I think the fact that Booker never got the world title is garbage. He should have beat Triple H. I hate that. I think
I love this.
I think Sting was brilliant for not signing because he knew damn well that Vince was never going to make him look good.
Yeah, he was going to get buried.
He knew. And he was proven right. Look at all these years later. It's not like Vince became a better guy in anyone's eyes.
Sure.
So it's a matter of that, and then the roster got a little too bloated too. Like eventually it was just like there were 9,000 guys who just had a name and some tattoos and didn't have a gimmick. And so I stopped caring in the late aughts.
How do you get back in?
What brought me back in was honestly, like I started watching TNA and ROH in like 2011.
Wow.
So I'm watching like the Briscoe brothers fighting, Sami Zayn, what's his real, El Generico.
Yeah.
And Kevin Steen. Kevin Owens. And then on TNA, I'm watching like the Young Bucks who went by Generation Me. They were fighting Beer Money and the Motor City Machine Guns. And I was like, these are all people I've never heard of, and they're all unbelievable. They're young, but they're wrestling like they've had like 20 years in the business. And of course, these would later come to be like main eventer, massive multimillionaire people, globally recognized. But I got into it from TNA and ROH, and then I started watching 2012. I got back into WWE.
Okay.
And that was when it was like Nexus beating up John Cena and CM Punk doing the pipe bomb, and I was that got me back in.
When you were a kid, did you ever want to be a pro wrestler as opposed to an actor?
Always. I put it in every yearbook blurb. Everybody knew I was gonna at least pursue, whether I make it or not. That was yet to be seen, but I told everybody I'm going to be a writer, director, producer, actor, and get into wrestling.
Did you try? Like, did you ever get far? Did you go to a school or something?
When I was a little kid, there was a thing called Bay County Roadrunner Wrestling, and it was like a bunch of kids going to this gym in Bay City, Michigan, where the Steiner brothers used to train. And it was like Greco-Roman, and this guy, Bob Wolf, who was always like kind of like an uncle figure to me. He brought me with his son and was like, "You should try out wrestling," And me and his son Brandon played flag football together, and he's like, "You're a big guy, like you should try this." And I just kept getting smoked, and I wasn't really into it. I think I was like, "Where's the showmanship? Where's the acting part of wrestling? Why do I have to know this like headlock hold, and why does this hurt like hell, and what?" And so I kind of like fell out of it very quickly. Anything that like hurt or was hard, I was like piecing out of as a kid. Piano lessons, wrestling, football. And I regret that, but now at a later age, I'm a much stronger person mentally and physically than I was as a kid.
Your first taste of it was the SmackDown appearance in 2019, right? Like where you're on camera at a wrestling show?
Yes, though if you watch Monday Nitro from Saginaw, Michigan in November of 1997, you can see me standing behind Raven while he gets interviewed.
Oh, sick.
Second row on screen with Mean Gene Okerlund, and me lip syncing the Disco Inferno.
Oh, wow.
Theme song, and Tony Schiavone going, "Oh, there's a little disco fan."
Really?
Well, it's like a close up on me singing.
You got to
Disco
post
Fever
that.
going like this.
That's amazing.
What's funny now is like I just shared a locker room with Tony Schiavone at AEW recently, and it was so bizarre to be like the voice of my childhood is just chewing gum next to me. It's crazy. But 2019 I did some little SmackDown.
How did that happen?
I'm sure it was me telling my PR people like, "Hey, can you hook up some tickets to SmackDown?" They're like, "Yeah, we'll interview you for like WWE.com or something."
When you're in the back though, like for me, I remember the first time I got to go backstage. I haven't been back many times, but it felt like I was in a forbidden land. Like I was so taken by just watching how everyone moves and the conversations and just like the flow of backstage. I was intoxicated by it. I found it fascinating. Were you the same way?
I was that way more so with MLW and AEW because WWE just seems very. It's still got the big corporate feel where everybody seems super serious and is busy, and if you're not important to them, they're kind of giving you a bad look. That was the vibe I got.
Got it.
I'm not saying everybody else. Whereas when I went backstage at AEW, it was like when I did this bit with Jeff Jarrett where he ended up
took the guitar shot.
Yeah, that was gnarly. I mean, they knew that I was game for whatever, so they didn't really need my permission. They just, they went with it. But when I did the Jeff Jarrett thing, that was a thing where like I got to actually stand around talking to legends and people are weighing in on the segment and the conversation and I'm seeing the sausage made with people sewing costumes, somebody
I love
getting a
that.
sports massage, somebody doing their makeup, and it was like that was like the big peek behind the curtain. And then MLW was like you're part of the roster now, like you're walking back there and there are things that are expected of you. Go do a meet and greet, then come in and do this promo. We're going to do this pre-tape thing, and then we need to get these photos. It felt like kind of like being an actor where it's like, oh, snap, I got to go to the hair and makeup trailer, then I got to do the EPK interview, then I got to shoot this and do a voiceover, and it was pretty crazy.
And so my understanding of the story is there's this sort of like benefit show for the fires in Hawaii, and you're asked, and you thought that you were just going to like sign some autographs and take some pictures.
Yeah, Sammy Callahan reached out to me, and we're mutual fans of each other, and he said, do you want to help with this fundraiser? And I said, of course. But I thought it was going to be like me, doing selfies for $25 and every dollar goes to the fires or whatever. And then he was like, do you want to be in a match? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to. I don't know if I'm ready though. At that time, I'd only taken a grand total of 8 hours worth of classes. But I said yes, fearing that, I don't want to lose out on the opportunity. And I had a 10-minute match with this guy, Matthew Palmer, who's since become a friend of mine. And he's been in the business forever, really great worker, knows how to make you look good, knows how to sell. And we had this match in front of about 900 to 1,000 people maybe in Glendale, California at the Ukrainian Center there, or whatever it's called. And then I sent that match around to wrestling friends, the DDPs, and, I'm buddies with, Edge and Christian and those types of people. When I was sending it around and showing people, they were all like, this is your first match? I was like, yeah. And they go, it's pretty good for a first match. I don't think my first match looked like that. I don't think a lot of people's did. I was like, well, you shouldn't have said that, because now I'm delusional as hell. I'm thinking I can do it. And I started taking more classes with Paul London, got linked up to MLW through Sammy Callahan. And the rest is history. I've just been taking bookings and trying to make things happen.
And that was late 23, right?
November 2023.
Yeah. Hey there. Sorry to interrupt. Just want to remind you, if you haven't already, please do hit that subscribe button. We would appreciate it very much. And while you're at it, give us a thumbs up too. We've got live shows, interviews, clips, and a whole lot more going on this here channel. All right, now back to the show. When you're named executive producer of MLW, how involved are you in the day-to-day operations?
So the day-to-day operations, not so much, but my thing is I am trying to lead us into the next iteration of
Which is what? Because MLW's been around for a minute, right?
MLW's been around for a minute. They had a really fun storied history with guys like Terry Funk and a young CM Punk, a young Paul London. Dusty Rhodes fought there. I mean, their library has some really cool stuff. But they, of course, when Court went to WWE for a couple years and made his noise up there and did well for himself, MLW fell by the wayside. Then it was like a podcast for a long time. And when it came back, I think 2017, a lot of guys looked at it like, oh, this is a place where I can kind of flex. I don't have to answer to 10,000 different people. And you, of course, had an emerging MJF, Darby Allin, Jacob Fatu. All of these people had a big run in MLW and were cutting their teeth. And it's been cool to see them since. My hope for MLW, my whole desire is let's get a TV deal. Let's get some sort of streaming deal. Let's get the library up on something, be it a fast channel, whatever. And let's slowly but surely get the money to actually build up, a full roster and get this thing going. And then at the same time, let's try to put eyes on it when we can, like making sure we invited O'Shea Jackson to our show, or me playing my movie trailers during a commercial break on the pay-per-view, just trying to integrate and find cross promotion wherever we can.
So how far along are you into that journey as far as like number one has to be the streaming deal, right? The TV deal, the streaming.
Yeah. I can't say too much because we're still figuring stuff out, obviously. Sure. But we've had a couple of offers and we've had discussions and we're just trying to figure out what makes the most sense for everybody, because it's one thing for somebody to throw you some money. It's another to find people that understand and like the product. So like we're kind of looking for somebody who actually likes wrestling and understands the product and wants to see it grow exponentially, not get some kind of cheapo buyout just to have it up off of YouTube. So
in addition to working with them and being an EP, you also work with other promotions? That's okay?
Yeah, like you said, the deal I've worked out with Court Bauer is, MLW is my mainstay. But I'll do little indie dates, whether it's Southern Honor Wrestling in front of 500 people or it's Wrestling Revolver in front of 900 people. And Tony Khan is a friend of mine, and Tony and Court do some business together and share like CMLL guys from Mexico and stuff. So I found it pretty friendly in that sense. The one thing that I told Court is like, Wahlberg and I have been talking, like we got to figure out how to do a WrestleMania match. We got to promote, because Wahlberg and I did a movie called Balls Up. Yeah. It comes out next year. I don't know when or how necessarily, but it's a two-hander comedy, and Wahlberg knows I'm obsessed with wrestling, and he's like, I just spoke to Ari, bro. Like, maybe we're going to get you that match. Maybe we got to do blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, sort of, I assume he's half joking, but I think he's also kind of serious. So that would be something.
Would you want that
bridge? Yeah, of course. Who wouldn't want a WrestleMania match? I would just want to make sure I'm promoting the movie and making sure that it is about getting eyeballs on our movie and just entertaining people. At the end of the day, that's what I'm doing. And by the way, if I take a WrestleMania match and it helps MLW get more eyeballs, awesome. MLW is not as petty as these other places. I got to say, I don't know how much you know about the company, but me and Court talk all the time about like, if a wrestler from another company is injured when we have our streaming deal, like we're going to take a moment to recognize that and say like, prayers up. You can send shout outs to Roman Reigns or Kenny Omega at such and such, Twitter, blah, 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 like wishing you well and a speedy recovery. Like the idea is not to try to compete because that's ridiculous. I don't think Newman's own salad dressing was like, we're going to beat Pepperidge Farm and we're going to beat Nabisco. It just existed and was good. And that's okay. Wrestling fans don't understand that some things can just exist. You don't have to topple a hierarchy or monopolize something. So our goal is to be the guys who people don't have as many problems with. Even if you don't like our product, you don't have something bad to say about how we treat other people.
Sure. For you, just curious, like the top of the mountain, if it is WrestleMania, what's the like the dream scenario? What's the match?
Dream match? Yeah. WrestleMania or a SummerSlam or whatever. Yeah. It would just be, I would love to wrestle The Miz and give he and I both one of our best matches of all time that people talk about. I would want it to be as good as Bad Bunny and Damian Priest. And I know it can be. It's not even a question. He and I could go round for round and shock everybody. He's better than people understand. He's woefully underappreciated. And I think the assumption going in is like, well, they're going to make The Miz job out to Hauser so Hollywood can get put over. Not the case. I wouldn't even allow that. It would be a match and it would be 12, 13 minutes of killer.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love how passionately you speak of this. Who has done it the best in your opinion? Like the celebrity who's the best one to do it?
It's tough to say because I don't want to get a bunch of hate for saying this. I've had 18 matches.
Yeah.
And I've wrestled for freaking pennies in front of 300 people. So my involvement feels different than a Stephen Amell or a Bad Bunny. I think Bad Bunny from like the physical standpoint has far and away done the best job, but he's had 2 matches.
Right.
I, on the other hand, I intend to have 300 matches by the time I'm done doing this.
You don't want to just be like a celebrity cameo guy. You just want to be a wrestler on the roster.
No, I don't. I want to be one of the boys, and I have no delusions about I'm going to be world champion. You know, people always say they're like, if you're not in it to be world champion, get the hell out. It's like the real sentiment behind that, don't take that literally. The real sentiment behind it is you should want to do a really good job to the degree that you are eligible for that type of a thing. So I'm trying to do the best job I can to make sure that I have a certain proficiency and eligibility in the world of wrestling. No part of me is like, I'm going to be world champ. It's like, no, I want to have a really great match, and I want fans to be like, holy shit, I saw Hauser in this movie last weekend, and then a week later he was wrestling in my small town in front of 1,000 people, and I saw him do a tornado DDT, and his head got split open with a chair. Like, to me, that's awesome. If John C. Reilly was doing an indie wrestling date, I would lose my mind if I were a fan.
So you know,
I think it's cool.
What's interesting is, and we're looking at some of your highlights here, courtesy of Major League Wrestling. I think this is when you came out, right?
We got another one coming in October. MLW is going to return to Thunder Studios near Los Angeles.
I do love your ring gear.
Yeah.
And you're all in. You actually lost some weight courtesy of DDP at one point, right?
Yeah, I went from 286 to 246.
Look at that.
With the help of Dallas Page and his DDPY system. And then recently I got down to like 237, which is the lowest I've been since high school.
Wow.
But I just kind of fell off. I got so busy that I've ballooned back up. I'm probably 257 right now. But yeah, once I finish this movie, which has been pretty taxing, this movie's been very intense. It's a difficult character, and I'm producing as well. So once I finish this up at the end of June, I'm going to get back into go mode.
What I think is so interesting about the way you talk about your career in wrestling, you continuously reference indie shows, 500 people, 900 people. Yep. You're a big star. You're a big star. You've won awards. I don't need, like, I'm not trying to glaze you, as the kids like to say, but like, you know what I mean?
Me. That's funny.
The kids say that. You'll see when your kids get, maybe it's not a word anymore, but my kids say it. And so are you trying to intimidate me, by the way, with your guns right now? Because I am intimidated.
No, I just felt very warm wearing that jacket.
Yeah, no, it's fair. No, I am intimidating a little bit because I wouldn't yes. I love the double entendre tattoo.
I'm a big fan of that. I got to find a move to call the double entendre.
There it is. It actually says entendre twice. What prompted that, by the way?
I just thought it was cool.
Yeah,
I just thought it was funny. And I think I was looking at, there's a movie studio called Original Films.
Okay.
And they have a similar thing where it's like the word on top of the word plainly in block letters. And I think I aped that for the...
And what's the other one say?
These are my childhood comedy heroes.
It's, wow.
Martin Short, Daniel Stern, Chris Farley, Jim Varney, Jim Carrey, and Robin Williams.
Wow. I love that. Much respect. You talk a lot about the indies, and a star of your stature could say like, oh, no, I want to be at MSG. I want to be with the big dogs in New York or AEW. Why does the indies scene, so to speak, for lack of a better word, speak to you so much?
Well, they're kind of underserved, aren't they? I mean, a lot of the folks that I've wrestled in front of in Canton, Georgia, or somewhere in, the middle of Iowa, they're paying like $15 for a ticket or $20 for a ticket. Not a lot of them can afford or have access to a Madison Square Garden and pay $400 to sit in the nosebleeds. So I think it's cool to get to go there and do that. And I also just think it's fun. Like to me, it's not about the spotlight. I don't walk into the spotlight. The idea is you're supposed to bring the spotlight. Mm. If you're an actual talented person,
sure.
I think I'm trying to give a good example of that too. I mean, Will Ferrell did like a Funny or Die tour where they would go to colleges and he would bring along Nick Swardson and Will Arnett and Zach Galifianakis. It's like, to me, that's way cooler to just have a bunch of cool people at a really interesting setting. I guess Dave Chappelle with his stand-up, he's doing it in somebody's backyard in Ohio. Like, that's really cool,
What type of character, for those that may not know that, maybe just know you as the actor, what type of character are you? Do you play the same guy?
I'm just playing myself right now. Yeah, there's no real character.
No, I don't mean right now. I mean on TV for MLW. Like, are you a heel? Are you a face?
I'm a babyface playing myself in MLW.
You just you play the actor.
I go by Walter Hauser.
Yeah.
It's very, very blanket. And that's intentional. I think strategically there's more grace given to me because it's not me saying like, I'm the cowboy, John Ellis.
Sure.
It's like me saying it's me is telling them like, I'm not really a wrestler yet. Like I'm an actor trying to become a wrestler. Sort of like Dwayne doing, The Rundown. It's like, great movie, but it's not like he's winning an award from The Rundown. Like I'm not going to win a Dave Meltzer star for what I'm doing at Wrestling Revolver, but I'm doing it. So that's the first foray, and I'm working on something right now that will be a bit of a departure from me being me.
Oh.
And that iteration will be coming in the next year. I don't totally know when.
Okay. Interesting.
The food is still baking.
Okay. I like it.
I'm still dipping my spoon in and tasting it and figuring out what else does this need,
Did you feel, especially early on, that you were accepted by the boys in the back?
Some.
Did you feel heat from some? Or friction? Or coldness?
Put it this way, the ones I felt friction and heat from...
Their ass is out. You fired them. No, I'm kidding.
Why do you think I'm executive producer?
Yeah.
He's gonna puke.
Yeah,
no, what am I
that's
doing?
great.
That's Vince.
Beyond the Mat, one of the all-time great
I just
docs.
went full Beyond the Mat.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that.
I've seen
movie.
it like 12 times.
Me too. Wrestling with Shadows. Have you ever seen that one?
Of course I have.
One of the all-time best.
I was gonna do Lonesome Dove, and then I.
That's amazing.
No,
That's my guy, by the way. He's my favorite of all time.
God. He's in my Rushmore.
He's in your
My Rushmore goes Sting, then Brett, then Rick, and then Jericho.
Jericho. How did we get there? Love him, fellow Canadian, but not a lot of people would have him there.
A lot of people nowadays hate him because it's like his wife voted for Trump or something.
No, I don't care about that. I just think he doesn't usually. No, I mean, Lionheart, Chris Jericho, Y2J, incredible.
I mean, let's take 30 seconds to go through the career.
Okay.
Proving himself, Canadian Stampede, like wrestling, the Heart Dungeon or whatever, Mexico, ECW, Japan, WCW, creates an amazing character in WCW where he's super obnoxious from like 97, 98, has the Goldberg-Gilbert thing, has Ralphus, his manager, bangers with Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero and all these guys, comes to WWF. One of the great pops of all time is Break the Walls Down, Jericho showing up, Millennium Man or whatever. Has the run in WWE, which is, I guess it would have been 99 through 2018.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
2017?
Yeah.
That is a long ass time to stay relevant and capture all those titles and have classic matches with Shawn Michaels and Kevin Owens, being a tag team with the Big Show, Jericho. I think the stuff with the Festival of Friendship and the clipboard and being on the list is some of the best sports entertainment promo stuff ever. Some of the best stuff of the last 10 years for sure. And then he's a huge part of why AEW exists and was taken seriously. And what he's done there, and then in Japan, and going into the Painmaker and having the bit of the bubbly, having the musical number with MJF, I think he's easily Rushmore.
He's evolved a lot. I mean, it's amazing how many different iterations of his character.
He's had, the promos, the matches, the pre-tapes, it's like, there aren't that many people who can do all of the things well.
Yeah.
He's done all of the things well, whether anybody likes him or not. And I think he deserves to be on some Rushmores.
Going back to maybe people not accepting you?
Oh, yeah. No, there were some people, there were for sure some people that, some people too, like I'll try to call a spot in a match or something, especially like a Battle Riot where there's a bunch of guys. I'll try to call something and you can tell they're just like, dude, fuck off.
Really?
Yeah, not saying it, but kind of like getting out of the sitch. And yet there are other people that are super cool, like Minoru Suzuki. Wow. I'm like chopping the shit out of him and he's cool with it and we're working.
Are you calling things on the fly?
Sometimes I try to get as much figured out before I get out there.
Okay.
Because I'm not good enough to leave everything up to chance and just call it in the ring. I'm not there yet. But people are very patient with me and they're cool. And I sell for them, and I've taken some hardy ass moves and kicks and punches, and I've woken up in a ton of pain just taking somebody's move. But I think I've earned most people's respect. The people that are mean to me are people that everybody goes, yeah, I don't listen to that guy. Everybody hates him.
Right.
It's never like a popular, beloved person mistreating me. It's usually someone who's already unhappy becomes more unhappy when they see me.
One match you're wearing the Braves jersey and you go through the table. Do you slam your head on the concrete there?
That was my fault. We called it where I told them, give me a pump kick or a like a Shawn Michaels style like super kick and I'll fall back. I was supposed to kind of jump up and land on my back.
Yeah.
And I just went like this. So had I went and gotten a little bit of air and fallen back, like Joe Pesci slipping on the steps in Home Alone.
Yeah.
I would have went through perfectly. Would have been perfect. Instead, because I fell flat back like straight back like a Jenga domino or whatever.
Because there's a moment where you touch. I think we have the clip.
It hurt. I hit my head on the ground.
Yes.
I went through the table, didn't feel the table, and just felt my head hitting cement.
Just right here.
Yeah, you can see right away because I'm not selling. I'm not selling at all. I'm just like, oh, did I just get a concussion? And I was so mad at myself because once again, that was a spot I set up. It was supposed to be awesome and look really good, and instead it looks like some guy just got hurt for real and doesn't know what he's doing. So,
is there any moment where you're like, man, I don't want to do this. I can't do this.
No.
You love it. Even when you're smashing your head on the concrete.
Dude, emotional pain is way worse than physical pain. I mean, I was dumped at 3 high school dances from 3 different girls. Like, I was a virgin until I was married. I have had heroes die. I have had a million no's from auditions and screenplays. I've written 21 features since I was 16 years old. None of them have been produced or bought. Emotional pain is way worse. Rejection is way worse than physical pain.
Wow. You've had some dark days as well, right?
I think any of us have. Yeah. No more than anybody else, probably.
Okay, because I watched an interview that you did with Sam Roberts at his house where you were referring to that.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he is great. And you were talking about some of the time period that you were in when when all this came to you, the wrestling stuff. And perhaps it was a bit of a light in your life, right? To be able to start doing all this when maybe times were tough. The wrestling. Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to have a creative vehicle too, because my wife will be the first to tell you when I'm not acting on set, I can go about 4 to 5 weeks really good without any creative work. But by like week 6, I'm like, suddenly I'm in the kitchen, I'm making 3 meals at once and throwing them into like Tupperware and freezing them. Like I need to be creative. I have to do something. And wrestling is obviously a way to make a tiny bit of money, entertain people, make me conscious of my health too. Cause like as an actor, it's like people are bringing you food all day on set. People bring me like, hey, there's donuts at craft service. And it's like, good God, it's 10 a.m.
Yes.
I just had an omelet. I don't need a freaking donut. You're going to kill me.
Yeah.
So it's a way to also be health conscious where like I want to be in shape to make sure I can wrestle with some acumen, to make sure I can take the snap mares and flat backs and chair shots. And if you're not in the gym and if you're not taking, the A1 greens and hydrating and, all these different supplements and stuff, it's like you are going to feel it way more.
One thing I wanted to ask you about was I was talking about when John Cena turned heel, and my criticism of it was, and by the way, are you okay? It's hot in here, right?
Oh, it's a little warm.
Yeah, it is. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, we're trying to help you. Maybe cut a few lbs while you're sitting here.
Yeah, I might get there.
I was critical of John turning heel because I said I felt like he was playing a bad guy. And I was critical of Ronda Rousey when she came from UFC to WWE because I said that I felt like she was playing pro wrestler. There's a big difference when it feels like they're playing someone as opposed to when they're just real. Like Paul Heyman, when I watch him, I feel like I'm watching Paul Heyman. And that's what makes him so great.
You are.
Yes. Yeah. But you know what I mean? And so like when you come from the acting world, you have to play characters all the time, but you have to get people to believe that in that moment you are Richard Jewell, right? Not Paul Walter Hauser playing Richard Jewell. And so when you're watching the wrestlers, do you think that same way, like this isn't believable? They feel like they're playing a character as opposed to just being who they are supposed to be on screen.
It's tough, right? Like it's tough to judge. I think I loved Ronda Rousey as a professional wrestler.
You did.
I loved it because you could tell she had an edge about her where she was like, you believed that she felt that she was better than everyone. And while some people may deem that uncouth or crappy, I think it's a good character. Like, I like women like her and Shayna Baszler who look like they're just here to stomp people into mush.
Yeah.
To me, that was a welcome reprieve, a new character in Ronda Rousey.
How do you feel
John
about
Cena heel thing, here's my issue with the John Cena heel thing. I think turning him heel is awesome. I think the way they did it was cool. I think they gave way too much runway to Travis Scott. Something clearly got changed in creative, and Dwayne is too busy and too rich to want to fight a battle about creative. And something got altered there. I don't know what. But whatever road they were on of like, I want your soul and John Cena's evil kind of turned into, let's bring John out and have him talk for 15 minutes every Raw.
Right.
Which is, no one wins when we talk for 20 minutes in a ring. I think it's the dumbest thing in the world. To me, it's bad structure. It has less to do with John and more to do with they're not setting him up to succeed. Like, why is John wearing the jean shorts still? Like, Hogan had a whole like look. So for me, it's just about commitment and writing and the transformation being bigger and giving him more evil stuff to do. Like if I'm working on the booking committee, writing team, whatever there, my first note is everything's got to go. Everything's got to change.
Wow.
And Cena has to be so important that if he's going to do an interview, it's via satellite somewhere. It's not in the middle of the ring. It's, hey, I'm on set or I'm doing that. Also, we got to have him get a cameo, find out who he's really tight with in Hollywood, have him be like, oh, I can't talk right now, and then FaceTime with somebody famous and be like, yeah, I can't talk to these people right now. I got to talk to this person. Make it fun. Make it bigger. It's just him and Cody yelling at each other.
Yeah.
And we're all over it, I think. And they're two very deeply talented people. Cody and John are amazing. So if they're not entertaining us, something's wrong with the structure, not them. You know.
Gosh, I could talk about this stuff forever. It's great to hear, because it reminds me a little bit of Freddie Prinze Jr. when he went and worked for the creative team for a bit.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, a couple
2010, 11.
A couple of my buddies did that. I know this really funny, talented dude named Matt McCarthy.
Okay.
And he's a big wrestling guy, and he worked there briefly and said, like,
we have a mutual friend in Rob Fee.
Oh, I love
Rob, the man.
Are you kidding me?
He's a legend.
Rob is one of the reasons WWE is thriving right now, and that's not me speaking as a friend. That's me speaking as a businessman.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. Yeah. What a mind he has.
Brilliant.
And so I love hearing you talk about. You're also going to be with Cody in the new Naked Gun. He's in that.
Yeah.
Bit of a cameo for him.
Yeah.
You've got that coming up. You've got Fantastic Four coming up. The Bruce Springsteen film. You got Pamela Anderson in the Naked Gun. Canadian legend.
Dude, Canadian legend. She's having a great run right now, and she's taking the acting thing so serious.
I love
she's
it.
Like doing it for real.
Inside Out is one of my favorite movies. Inside Out 2 with my
thanks,
kids.
Man.
The first movie
fun.
I ever took my son to was Inside Out 1. I know you were in 2.
Yeah.
Loved it as well.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I've gotten to do a cool mesh of things. My manager and I, Brian Walsh, again, we're big on career architecture. So it's very intentional to do an I, Tonya and a Black Klansman, but then also do Reno 911 and I Think You Should Leave, and then do the Bruce Springsteen movie and this movie where I'm playing a crooked cop in Staten Island. Like, we're trying to mix things up. We're trying to have fun and do the things that we want to see. And if you look at the slate, we got Fantastic Four July 25th, Naked Gun August 1st. My movie Americana with Sydney Sweeney and Simon Rex comes out August 15, I believe.
There it is.
And then we got Deliver Me From Nowhere, the Springsteen biopic, October 24th.
What a run.
So it's a
Most importantly, you have MLW returning to New York on June 26th.
Dude, it's going to be a good show,
yes.
man. Yeah, we got some surprises in store. I will not be wrestling at the show, obviously, but I am making an appearance.
Okay.
And we'll be doing some commentary. And as you can see, the roster just kind of keeps evolving, where we have some of the biggest names in the sport, from Matt Riddle and Mystico to, some guys who left WWE. We got Donovan Dijak and
former Baron
my buddy
Corbin.
Tom Pestock, now going under the name Bishop Dyer. And I really think we're in a good place where we are in a growing season. We're evolving. And once again, our goal at MLW is just give you another thing to watch and enjoy. We are not trying to we're not trying to put anybody out of business. We love professional wrestling. We want to keep our nose clean. And I think, Summer of the Beast is going to be a really good show. If you're available, we'd love to have you out.
I would love to check it out. I've never been to one.
We got a few seats remaining, but for you and your people, whoever you want to bring, we'll hook it up, obviously.
That's very kind of you. And for the MMA fans out there, Kingdom. You were in Kingdom way back in the day.
Yeah, Frank Grillo and Matt Lauria, John
That's
Tucker.
a classic.
Yeah, I love that. Was the show that show kind of was
ahead of its time, perhaps.
Not only ahead of its time, had it been on a HBO or I don't know, like an Amazon, we might all had trophies in our hands because the work was just unbelievable. But I will say, like, those guys who played the fighters, Nick Jonas and Matt Lauria, John Tucker, Frank Grillo, those guys took it so seriously, man. I have never seen people sacrifice the way they did to try to get their bodies in order and do what they did. Those are 16-hour days with commuting, the shooting, the working out. Those guys were only sleeping like 6 hours a night, 5 hours a night.
Sounds like your life now with the wrestling and the acting.
Yeah, minus the abdomen. Well. I got to work on that part. But no, for those that watch Kingdom, I still get people coming up to me. A lot of dudes will be like, bro, I know everybody loves you, Cruella and Richard Jewell, but like, bro, my man Keith.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, oh yeah, Keith from Kingdom. Because that character was nuts. I had a lot of fun playing that.
Well, this has been lovely. Thank you so much for coming in. Really appreciate it. Congrats once again on all your success. Love that you're doing the wrestling. Love that you're propping up wrestling wherever you are. Like whether you're on Colbert's show or getting an award. It's great to see someone who is a legit, passionate fan of the business, as am I. And congrats to you and much respect on actually doing it.
I'll leave you with this.
Okay.
The way we got like Jack Nicholson courtside at the Lakers, the way you got Billy Crystal in the Yankees.
Yeah.
I hope to be the guy who is that for wrestling, but also gets to step onto the court or the baseball field. And when I say I'm doing a reverse Dwayne Johnson, it may be a joke to some of you watching or listening. I assure you over time, you will learn it is far from it. And I'm currently producing a documentary about my journey as a wrestler.
Oh, love that.
So we're in the heat of that. I'm directing it. And you will learn very shortly how serious I am about professional wrestling.
That's a freaking promo right there. That's a freaking promo. Well done. Thank you so much. All the best to you. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Thank you so much to PWH. Can we call you that?
I wish you would. And I guess go read Say Hello to the Bad Guys.
Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.